Are you a supporter of critical race theory?
I think that's very important to be a critical thinker. I became a critical thinker 15 years ago.
Critical race theory is the construct of racism. It teaches you to be racist.
The other day, the liberals just pulled down another Confederate statue. And I'm just really worried that...
History?
Yeah,
History.
History. It's our history.
There's a reason it's called history. History repeats itself, and if we don't learn from our past mistakes, it's going to repeat itself. Look at Hitler. Look at the parallels to our current government. Just look at the parallels.
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy.
Exactly. Critical race theory.
Bullshit. All it does is imbue more racism.
You heard about they took down another Confederate statue the other day.
I haven't kept up on those. It doesn't surprise me at all.
What do you think? I mean, they're erasing our history. I mean, our history is our history, right? You don't want to see that erased.
Absolutely not.
Can you imagine if your culture's history was completely eradicated?
Let me put it this way. I would, we've got plenty of cultures who've been completely eradicated. I mean, look at us. We kind of came over and destroyed the Native Americans, but that's not something they want to talk about. What they're like is, think of the analogy. They're like, oh, this is Native American land that the white man stole from them. So what are we going to do? Give it back? No, let's invite the rest of the world to share it with you. Like, no, if anything, give it back.
No, we give it back. Instead of teaching, bad history, just give the Native Americans their land back.
Yeah.
Exactly, okay? That'd save a lot of problems, a lot of arguments.
It's like pick a side. If you're going to bitch about that, then you have to follow through. You can't, and that's the stuff that people are getting upset about.
Hey, liberals, give the Native Americans back their land.
Pick a side. You either give it back to the Native Americans or stop trying to pour everybody else out into the world. It either belongs to them or it belongs to the world. Pick one.
Who'd you vote for in the last election?
I voted for Trump the last 2 times.
Okay.
I've always liked Trump because I knew he was an honorable person who really loved our country, and it was for the people, by the people. And
We the people.
We the people. That's what I'm about. Being Native American, I know.
Oh, you're a Native American. Okay, tell me, what tribe? Tell me everything.
I am Ojibwe from Fond du Lac tribe up by Duluth, and I know what it's like to have genocided our people, and it was never written in history books. And I've never...
But that's a good point. The story of your tribe, of your people, should be taught in schools.
Correct.
You don't want your history erased.
Right. And they're trying to erase it. They've been trying. They for years, we could not speak our language. My grandfather had to hide. He couldn't teach us Ojibwe. So I don't know my native language. I'm learning now.
That's really nice. Oh, that's amazing. That's actually I'm glad I spoke to you. What about, teaching sort of history and systemic injustice inside of schools? What is your take on that?
We are doing that now. We have organizations in Minneapolis that are teaching our culture, and we're trying to bring our culture back to our children. We are doing a lot of spiritual ceremonies. I have done many spiritual ceremonies.
That's amazing. So are you a supporter of critical race theory in schools? Because that wants to teach, systemic injustice and how, people have been marginalized through history. What is that? How do you reconcile that with your heritage?
I think that's very important to be a critical thinker. I became a critical thinker 15 years ago, and I saw the reality of what was really happening to our culture, all of our people. We are one with Creator.
Oh,
We
wow.
all bleed this. We all bleed red.
Okay, yeah. So that's a different take than what you're going to hear.
Because I've actually since pulled my kids out of a parochial school, because back in May, my fifth grader, or fourth grader at the time, did a in-class reading assignment on critical race theory, on Asian Pacific Americans, and a whole story on that. And meanwhile, on their Chromebooks that they have,
so they were teaching history.
They were teaching a reading assignment from Time magazine that was on their Chromebooks that the teacher read about Asian Pacific Islander, hate. And this was a fourth grade class at a parochial school in Rockford, Michigan.
Describe what was in the article.
What was in the article was a story about a young girl who was in California, in Berkeley, who decided to start this group of, she was an Asian Pacific American, and she was starting a group to, bring awareness to Asian Pacific hate. I had no idea, that there was a problem like that in Rockford, and so I started to question things. My son, their school believes in having Chromebooks, and so on those Chromebooks, they would have those particular reading assignments. They'd also have ads for Joe Biden. They also have, all kinds of crazy things that I wouldn't agree with in terms of our liberty as well as our faith that are showing up on these Chromebook assignments.